Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in. Hey mamas, we're here for another episode of the Balanced Working Mama podcast. It is Dr. Amber. How are y'all doing? How's it going? Are you taking care of yourself? Have you been drinking your water? Is it hot as all get out where you are? Because it's been super hot all week here. Like, what's been going on? So, y'all, we have a really good episode today. I believe this is our first guest of the season, so I'm excited for y'all to hear this episode. But first, let's do a little check-in, okay? So, I'm checking in with you. At the time that you all are hearing this, I likely have just dropped my daughter off at daycare. Today is Friday. You're probably hearing this on a Monday, but we are scheduled to send baby girl off. Send her off to school. So a lot of people have been asking me, how do you feel about her going to daycare? And honestly, I feel fine. I feel fine. I really do. I feel great. I feel fine. And for a few reasons. One, I feel really comfortable with the daycare that we have chosen for her to go to. It's the same one that her brother goes to. They have been phenomenal with him in so many ways in terms of his learning and his development. Like, they really care about him. His teacher is amazing, but also just the way that they have handled COVID has been above and beyond, like annoyingly so, but that's good because it keeps them safe. And so I feel so comfortable with where she's going. I know that they're going to take care of her and look after her. Two is because I know that it takes a village to raise these kids, and I am not the only person in my village. My husband is not the only one in the village. My kids' grandparents are not the only ones. Our child care providers are also part of our village. And so I really think about that often. It is unrealistic for me to believe that I can be the only influence or the primary influence or any of that. I need help. I need help raising these kids. I need help. I need people to be with them during the day while I'm at work, and I need the support. And so I feel good knowing that I have the support, people who are going to look after my children while I am away, because it takes a village. And so the other reason I feel really good about this is I'm ready to go back to work. I'm ready. I know that the postpartum experience is so different for everybody. But then also this postpartum experience is layered with a pandemic. And so for me, I've been at home for about a year and a half now with regard to the pandemic. But then also I've been on maternity leave for the last the last 14, 15 weeks or so, because I started early. And I am feeling ready to go venture out into the world, be a professional again, put on some professional clothes. I'm feeling ready. And it feels good because it feels like it's on my own terms. It's in my own time. If you would have asked me this 3 months ago, I would have said I'm dreading it and I don't want to go. But today in this moment, I'm ready to put that hat back on and step out into the world as Dr. Amber Thornton, the psychologist and the founder of Balanced Working Mama, but also the psychologist at my 9-to-5 job. I'm feeling really ready. And so all of those reasons allow me to feel good about the transition that we're making. And my hope is that baby girl follows suit. She might not like it at first because I will be honest, I am her favorite person. I am her favorite person. And so I know she will adjust. It's going to take some time. None of this is bad, but it is a transition, and transitions take time. They are a process. And so I appreciate you all really thinking of us as we transition into the next phase. And if you are listening and going through a similar phase, whether it's your child going to daycare for the first time, or your child going back to school, or you doing something for the first time, your family experiencing something for a first time, it is okay. These things take time. Give yourself some grace. Allow the change to happen as it will. it's okay. So feel free to check in with me. Anybody who is going through something similar, y'all know I'm an open book, and y'all also know where to find me on Instagram. With that, let's get into today's episode. We have an estate planning attorney, like a real life attorney, to talk to us about estate planning. And this is important because as mothers, we have legacies to leave to our children. We don't want our babies to just be out here high and dry when they grow up. We want to pass on some things, and we want to do it in a proper way that really ensures that they will have access to the things that we leave behind when we do leave this earth. And so, my good friend Shakisha Morgan talks all about this in today's episode. I and my family actually worked with Shakisha to do and secure our estate plans. We are actually in the process of updating our estate plans because we had a baby, we got a new house, mama started a business, and so there were updates that need to be made. And so this is something that you don't want to discredit or not think about. Really check out this episode today, and I hope that it encourages you to really move forward in securing the future for your family. Hey mama, Balanced Working Mama is growing. I want to make sure that you stay connected and up to date with everything happening over here. So you don't miss any of the good stuff, head over to balancedworkingmama.com, sign up for the newsletter. You'll always be the first to learn of any new podcast episodes, events, programs, and you'll get a hello from me every now and then. So sign up today, mama, because I want to connect with you soon. Hey, mamas. So we have a special guest here. She is a dear friend of mine, but also she is an estate planning attorney. And I'm actually just going to let her say more about who she is, what she does. Please take it away, Shakisha.
Hey, Dr. Amber, I'm so excited. Hey, Balanced Working Mama Tribe. Hey. Uh, my name is Shakisha Morgan. I am an estate planning, business planning, probate administration, litigation, guardianship attorney. What that means, in short, is that you can rely on me if you are planning for the expected, which is the transitions of life, planning for the unexpected transitions of life, making sure that your business survives you, making sure that your loved ones get help, and making sure that you're well taken care of. That's what I do every day, all day.
That was great. That was good. And that was really good. No, like you really do all of that. And as you were saying it, I was just thinking about, man, Shakisha has really helped me a lot with a lot of this stuff too. Because I'm sure we'll talk about, like, you helped us with our estate planning stuff, you helped me with some business stuff, and you really do embody just this idea of making sure that the legacy that you're leaving is protected so that it actually can be passed on. And you are the person that really has helped me to really think about that a little bit more seriously. So I want to thank you for that. But also,
Oh,
that
you're
was an
welcome.
amazing intro. So you said a lot about your professional life. Anything you want to say about your personal life? I know you're a mom.
Yes, I'm a member of the Balanced Working Mama Tribe. Okay. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter named Marley. She's the love of my life. And I have an amazing husband named Joseph. I am the daughter of Jamaican immigrants. So, any more first generation American Jamaican family members of the BWM tribe, hit me up. I have two sisters. I'm the middle of three girls, but I act like the oldest because I'm a lawyer and I can't help it. So yeah.
Actually, you know what? It just hit me that you are the middle. Out for a while, I thought you were the oldest. Okay, so now I know.
Because I carry oldest child energy.
You
I
do.
do. I do.
You do.
Nakia hates it, but you know what? She loves me anyway.
All right. Well, so of course we're going to talk about estate planning a little bit more today. And so the very first thing I want to know is what led you to become passionate about estate planning? Like, why this? Because clearly you can do so many things and you are so
Mhm.
talented, but what is it about estate planning that led you to focus there?
Well, So as background, when I first went into private practice, I was an insurance defense litigator, which was not sexy at all. And I went into it because I thought I wanted to be like a court attorney. I thought I was going to be like Matlock type, um, for the rest of my life. And while litigation is fun, litigation is what happens at the end of the process when things go in unexpected ways, when people can't agree, when people think someone didn't do what they were supposed to do. That's what litigation is about. It's about working that out. And at the time that I was a litigator, there was a lot of it was the Black Lives Matter really was gaining a lot of speed, and it was around the time that Tamir Rice was killed and Trayvon Martin, and I really could not see myself being a litigator for insurance companies for the rest of my life. My favorite clients were like the small business owners, and I was just helping them not get taken advantage of. Those are my favorite clients. And so I was like, what can I do to like do something that really makes me feel like I'm using my law degree to help people? So I left that firm. I was doing criminal justice work, and I met my current boss at church, and she asked me what I was doing, and I said, well, I want to help people. I just haven't figured it out yet. And she was like, you should totally look into estate planning. And I was like, what? And then I looked into it some more, and I was like, oh, wait, so this is the secret to wealth building. This is the secret to keep people out of court. This is the secret to like pass down like all the hard work that we've done from generation to generation. I started looking into the fact that families lose property from generation to generation. You buy these houses, and then here comes gentrification and takes your houses because there wasn't a set plan to get it from one generation to the next. Businesses are being lost. And so I was like, okay, so people are using financial planners to gain money, but who are we using to transfer that wealth? It's not wealth if it's not passed on. And so that's how I learned about it. And the more that I have learned about it, I've been doing it for 4 years now. The more that I've learned about it, the more in love with it I become. And I am genuinely someone interested in people. So I, as an estate planner, am a professional nosy person. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful.
That is so funny because when you said it, I was like, yes, she is very interested in people. But yeah, it fits you so well as someone who knows you personally. Like it really does, and you truly do embody it. Like anytime, even if we're just like at dinner as friends, and you will bring up like, oh, estate planning is it, and I'm just like, oh, absolutely. Like yes.
I'm a joy. I'm a joy at dinner parties. Like, oh girl, you started a business. Have you considered your operating agreement? What's going on with that?
It's like, oh,
how do we get the business going?
I feel like you were the one
I'm a hit.
I think you were the one that put it on our radar that we needed to add eat into our estate plan, because we were like, oh, you're right. We do. Okay.
Yes. We not leaving my boo out. Okay, my boo is gonna get her portion, so we making sure that my niece is set. Okay.
But so like for real, you really were the person that kind of really helped to educate me and my husband about estate planning. And so the next question, I was going to ask about challenges, but I first want to have you just explain the ins and outs a little bit more, because I feel like there are a lot of people who are listening who are like, I don't even know what that means. Or there might be misconceptions. Like estate planning, isn't that for like rich people, or is it for people who have a lot of money, or like is it something that we need to do right now? And so let's just go through the ins and outs. What is estate planning? And so I'm sure that you probably have a spiel, but I'm thinking of like like literally, what is it? How much does it cost? Like how do people even go about it? Could you just give us an overview for anyone who is listening to this? Like, what is this?
Yes, absolutely. Let me start by saying that if you learn something new, don't feel bad, because estate planning wasn't created for us. Okay. Estate planning was something that landowners, and we know who were landowners in this country in the past, landowners created to make sure that their kids got their stuff and didn't have to deal with the ins and outs of the court system.
Wow.
So when we talk about estate planning, if this is the first time you're hearing about this, do not feel any type of way. Just be glad that you were smart enough to be on Dr. Amber Thornton's subscription list so that you could get your knowledge.
Right.
So when we talk about estate planning prepares for two scenarios. The first is estate planning prepares for the expected, which is the only guarantee we have in life is that at some point we will transition out of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a scary thought for people to have. And I understand it. It's scary for me to think about too, because I'm like, wow, I'm such a light on the world. What's going to happen when I leave? But we should be prepared for that scenario because there are so many rules attached to what happens when someone dies that people don't know about. There is the business of death, which is the legal side, meaning that after someone dies, the things that they own have to go through a court process to get to the people who are going to inherit from them. So when we plan properly for this very expected occasion, it means that we can efficiently pass things to those that we love. And if we need to keep some people out of the things that we have spent our lifetime creating, that those documents help us to do that. And that's what people use wills and trust to do. So that's the first thing it plans for. The second thing that estate planning plans for is for the unexpected. And so when I say the unexpected, I mean, right now, I'm able to go and drive my car, drive it to the bank, pull out some money from the bank. If I want to leave the bank with the money and go to another lawyer and sign a contract, I can do all of those things because I have literally the mental, legal, physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever capacity to do that. The unexpected could be that on my way to the bank, I get in an accident, which renders me unable to go to the bank, but instead I'm off to the hospital, and maybe I'm sick, and maybe now I'm not able to handle my financial and legal affairs. Maybe I'm not able to speak on my own behalf related to my medical affairs. So we plan for the unexpected to ensure that all of the things that I have worked so hard for right now don't get lost in the sauce because I don't have anybody else who has the legal authority to manage those things for me. As an example, you've probably heard about what's going on with Britney Spears and about the fact that she was talking about she can't take money out of her account without permission. She wanted to take out her IUD and couldn't without permission. Those are all the things that happen when we are not prepared for that scenario and the person given the authority is given by the court. And then when we want to have that authority back, we have to go to court and ask for permission to manage our own things. Not okay. So that's what estate planning does. It plans for those things in advance, gives the authority to people you trust, and make sure that the things we've worked hard for don't fall by the wayside. Really important.
Ooh, yeah, that was a great overview. And again, I'll just reiterate, like, these are things that I literally just learned a few years ago. I knew a little bit, like I've heard of a will. I knew it was something important to do, but I think again, Shakisha, you were the one that kind of really broadened it all out for me and really talked us through the process. And it's so important because when we went through the process with you of developing our estate plan, you had us thinking about things that we had never thought about before. Like you were saying, preparing for the unexpected. So you really do have to sit down and think, what happens if something unexpectedly happens to me, and having to think through, okay, well, who will take care of my children, and making sure that that is in your plan. Where will my home go? Who gets my money? With just all these things, or even, just recently, of course, my dad passed and we had him in our plan for, I forget what it was, like, kind of doing something for me if something were to happen for me. And so now having to think, okay, who's going to be that next person? And so what I always am thinking about is it makes you think about things that you probably wouldn't be thinking about otherwise, or maybe you're a little bit fearful to think about, but also it really does keep you on your toes because life changes so fast. Unexpected things do happen. And this is almost, I don't know if this is how you think about it, but it's like a living document. It continues go on and on and on. And so like, just like how we've had to change it recently because we've had changes in our life. So it's a living document. It needs to change as your family changes, as your decisions change. But it really is so important to be thinking about.
Yes, absolutely. And that's exactly what you're planning for, right? You're making sure that, right now with the way that life looks, how do I want to make sure things go if decisions need to be made and I can't personally make them? and then as life goes on, always checking in to make sure that what you created is relevant for this time in your life. So yes, absolutely, that's what it is. Now, you did ask about cost and, how people can find someone to help them. And so I do want to give people, it's so funny. My friend Iffy Beckway, she's one of my estate planning legal friends who practices in Texas and Arkansas. She was recently posting about Dave Ramsey
Mm.
and how Dave Ramsey and people like him who have a lot of money will tell people at you and my income level and lower, you don't need an estate plan because you don't have like $500,000 sitting around.
Like that?
And the problem with that is, oh yeah, no, that's a part of his thing. And so he will offer estate plans for $99 to people, but you're not working with an attorney who is talking about like the unique circumstances of your life and talking about the impact of court and all that kind of stuff. So you'll see a lot of different offerings, which will say, okay, you could do a quick estate plan for $50 and you just input your information into the system and you're good. Well, one of the things that I truly encourage people to do is at the very least to spend 15 to 30 minutes with an attorney
Mm-hmm.
because they can tell you whether or not what you're doing is super simple, or
Right.
they can tell you, actually, here are some things that you didn't consider that you really need to consider as a part of your estate plan. So we're talking about how much it costs. If you are truly lower income, there are organizations in every state that will help you to prepare these things for very, very low bono. We call it low bono or pro bono, which is free. But if you're going to use like a private attorney to do these sort of things, then you want to plan for like $1,500 to $2,500
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to be spending time with an attorney who is going to be able to walk you through everything that you may not have thought about related to your estate plan. And when you're looking for this professional, number one, it needs to be someone who is licensed in your state because every state has their own laws related to estate planning. And so you want to talk to someone who's most familiar with it. But also, you want to talk to someone who makes you feel comfortable sharing your business because estate planning is truly very intimate. And if
Yep.
you do not feel comfortable explaining your family dynamics, explaining your history with money,
Mhm.
explaining why you don't want to leave your brother or your sister or your aunt or uncle something because they just don't know how to deal with money, and you know what, y'all have had X, Y, and Z issues,
Mhm.
then that's not the estate planner for you. You want someone that you truly feel comfortable with so that you can share all of the important things that's going to help you make a good plan.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, because it is a very intimate process. Keisha knows everything about our business now. And that's
But
fine.
I'm bound by law to keep those things inside.
And so she won't tell nobody. So it's fine. Um, but yeah, it is a very intimate process, but a worthy investment. And when you were, so I just had this thought of like Dave Ramsey and people like him telling our people that what we have isn't worth anything. That's basically what that means.
That's
And
that's exactly what he's saying.
is that
Hmm.
our there's no value in what we have or what we've accumulated, and that's the issue. Estate planning really forces you to really consider the value that you have and that you can
Yes.
pass on to the next generation. And so
Yes.
that's why it's a worthy investment, right? Like you have to invest now so that the generation after you can get a lot more. And it's so important because
Hmm.
even if it's $2,000 that you get to pass on to the next generation, that's more than what they would have had. You know what I'm saying? And so it really teaches us to value what we are building and the things that we are leaving, and we can pass on to the next generation. And just steer clear of people who make you believe that you don't have anything to give. Like that's not okay.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about estate planning is like every person who talks to me, you
Hmm.
have to know that your life is valuable
Right.
and what you have accumulated, no matter the value, is valuable. Because you wouldn't be talking to me and I wouldn't be investing time in you as well as a client if it wasn't valuable. So when I'm doing like estate planning presentations and I'm talking about some kind of myth, one of the big myths is like, oh, I don't have anything valuable enough to plan for. And I'm like, so you're saying that your life isn't valuable? Because when we talk about planning for the unexpected, that's actually about you personally.
Mhm.
It's not about the value of what you have. It's actually about you as an individual and making sure that you're not left vulnerable and unable to be taken care of because you haven't got the proper legal documents for it. So
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. It's about personal value and
Yeah.
seeing yourself in that.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very critical for everybody listening because 99% of y'all are mothers or want to become mothers. And so there's a
Come
lot
on.
to be thinking about. And so the next thing I wanted to ask you are just about some of the challenges that you see mothers specifically face when it comes to getting them to come around to the idea of estate planning.
Yes. Oh Lord. Okay. So one of the biggest challenges, and this is why, those of you in the Balanced Working Mama crew, you guys have already heard this, but it's finding the time to do it. It's
Yep.
because it's usually when it comes to, especially when I'm working with a family, it's usually the mom that's pushing the process forward. And I don't know, I don't have any data for that. If I was going to get a PhD, I would probably look into why that is. But when it comes to the estate planning, because as a part of the process, you want to sit down with the lawyer, but you also want to read your documents and be able to ask questions before you come in and sign them. Like a lot of times it's like finding the time to be able to make that personal investment into the process. So that's one of the challenges that moms face. And so when they think about it, and they think about the added things that they have to do on top of all the things that they're already doing, sometimes they get a little discouraged. But I like to remind them that I'm a partner with them. A good estate planning attorney is a partner with you in the process, and they're going to help to make that easier on you. Another challenge that I see for moms when it comes to thinking through their estate plans is just the pressure that comes with making those decisions. So as moms, we have like a mental load, and we are always thinking about all of the things that need decision making on, right? Like we are looking at our kids and, okay, you're 2 months, so you're going to be out of the 3-month onesie soon. And so I need to make sure, did I wash the 4 to 6 month onesies? Like, okay, what is the status of your clothes? Wait a minute, did I take him? When was the last time I took him to the doctor? And then your father, your father, when's the last time your father went to the doctor? I need to get on top of him. I don't even think he's been to the dentist in the last 3 years. It's like that mental load
Yep.
can feel very heavy. And so in the actual process of estate planning, I have found that because moms are used to that mental load, it's actually a challenge that works in their favor because they're usually the ones ready to talk about what they want to happen because we are already thinking about it. We just didn't put it in legal documents. So it's actually a challenge that moms face, but it ends up like working in their favor. And then the last one is really just like, it's just like, it's money. And it's just a matter of working the cost of an estate plan, the investment of an estate plan into their family budget. So that's really it. But I actually find that most of them, 70 to 80% of our clients are women. And a lot of them are moms because they realize that once they know about estate planning, most moms do it.
I can see that. I could see that. And when you said like time and money are like two challenges, that makes a lot of sense. And I try to always remind moms, especially when it comes to, I don't know, I just generally think of that as like investing in yourself, investing in your future,
Yeah.
investing in your family. We have to kind of like really talk ourselves into seeing the value in that. Investing the time now, investing the money now means so much more later. And I know in the moment it
Yeah.
feels like, I don't know, or, like, I don't know if we have it right now, but you'll be so grateful for in the future when you really start to see it. What am I trying to say? See the benefit of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see the benefit. Now I will say this, the awkward challenge that moms face when it comes to their estate plans is actually if they're married, making sure that your partner, especially if you're in a heterosexual relationship, making sure your partner comes along with you. I have had some moms with like mom guilt that comes from the fact that they've decided to move forward with their estate plan, despite the fact that their partner is not moving forward with their estate plan.
Wow.
I've actually had a few clients that are like that, and like emotionally supporting moms through that process is worthwhile, but it's difficult and it's a challenge that moms who are partnered with heterosexual partners specifically face.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see that, but it's a reality.
That sucks. It really does. And I think
Yeah.
it goes back to you have to really do what you think is best to ensure the quality of life and the future for yourself and your children, your family. Um, I think so. The other challenge I was thinking about, you kind of spoke to it, but for me, it was like the reverse experience. I know you said that for many of us, we're already thinking about these things and now we get them documented and on paper. For me, I felt overwhelmed and I was just like, I froze a little bit. I was like, I don't know. And so you did such a good job of like walking me through or helping me think about things in a certain way that helped me see like, okay, maybe I can make the decision like this, or it kind of opened it up a little bit. And so I'll go back to what you said previously, make sure that when you are working with someone on your estate planning, make sure it is someone that you trust, someone that you feel comfortable with, someone that can really walk you through some of like the emotional parts, because it is emotional, like having to think through what happens if I pass, who's going to take care of my children, who's going to make decisions for me if I'm incapacitated. Like that's some really heavy stuff. And so it is
Mm-hmm.
helpful to work with someone that you feel somewhat connected to. They don't have to be your best friend, but at least someone that you feel like this is a professional, this is someone I can trust with my business matters. And I can talk to them about these things. Yeah.
Yeah, that, you know what, that guardianship one, who's
Mm-hmm.
gonna take care of my kids if I'm not taking care of them? That's a hard one. Ooh, that is a hard one, and especially if the parents don't agree. But again, this is why it's good to have a partner with you, a third party partner that you trust with you, because I give them my 3 point, here's how we're gonna figure it out plan, and we can usually get through it. But yes, absolutely. And then some of the guilt that comes with like not wanting to leave certain people things, but feeling like you have to. That that's a hard challenge for people to face. I like to free people. Like nobody's entitled to my money, but the people I've decided,
Yeah,
and that's it.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so again, you need somebody who can be firm and let you know, like, hey, remind you, this is your money. You worked hard for this.
Mhm.
You get to pass it on to whoever
Hello.
you want.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. So I wanted to ask you, do you have like a mama success story with regard to estate planning? Is there like a client that you had that really stuck with you or really stands out for some reason?
I do. I actually have a number of them. So if any of them are listening, like I love all of you. I love all of you. I'm gonna highlight one in particular though. Um, I'm gonna call her C. And C came to me because her kid's father had passed, and so she was now a single mom. She was a single mom of two daughters. She was also, so she was a full-time worker and a business owner.
Mm,
And she wanted to make sure that no matter what, her girls were taken care of
mm,
and that they felt like they could do anything.
aw,
And so we worked together to make sure that we put together her estate plan. And it included a trust because her daughters are both minors. They're, like, if I remember correctly, the oldest one might have been 11.
mm,
Um, and one of my favorite things, okay, so I tell people that when you're doing estate planning, it really is tailored to you.
mhm,
So one of the things that she did as a part of her estate plan, and she actually motivated me to update mine in a particular way. That's the good thing about working with hundreds of people. You get all these ideas from different sources. But one of my favorite things that she did was she was big on decade birthdays. So like when her daughter turned 10, it was a big celebration. She's like, when she turns 20, there's going to be a big celebration. So all of the decade birthdays are a big deal in her household.
yeah,
And so she said, if I pass and there's still decade birthdays to be had with my daughters, she carved out this special financial portion of her estate so that her daughters could still do it big on their decade birthdays. And it's just one of those things that it's just like when you're thinking about, like, it's only a mom would think of something like that. Like I'm making sure that, like, whether or not I'm here, like my girls make sure that for their birthdays they're gonna do it up just like we would do it up if I was here, and they'll know that I left this for them to continue this tradition. And so it was just one of those things that just like her whole situation and the fact that she was a business owner and just like she wrote a statement for her daughters that just talked about like why she was doing what she was doing. And it's one of my favorite estate plans that I've done.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and yeah, that's one of my favorite stories. And I love that even though she came to me with um, she was motivated by sad circumstances, what she was able to do was something really beautiful for for her girls. And so just like going forward, her girls are going to know that no matter what happens, her girls are going to know what she did for them and why.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
My favorite.
That gives me chills. Like that. I love that. That is so, and like you said, only a
Yeah.
mom would think about that. Like that is
Only
so
a mom.
that
Only a
is
mom.
so special. And like you said, it's so unique and tailored to her and her girls. And we can all do that in our estate plans. Like any little thing,
Hmm.
you can put it in there and it'll be honored. And so it's just, yeah, it's so important. I love that. So thank you for sharing that one with
Yeah.
us. I have a few more questions and I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah.
So I know that there's probably some mamas who are listening and now they're like, oh shit, I need to get my estate plan. Like, what do I do? And so could you give us maybe like 3 tips for anyone who is listening and they feel like they want to consider doing this, how they can get started?
Yeah. Okay. So it's important to remember that the best time to start your estate plan is now. That's the number one tip. So forget the guilt. Oh, shoulda, woulda, coulda. So many people come to me like, oh, girl, I've been planning on doing this for the last 20 years. I'm like, well, girl, you here right now. What are we talking about the past for? We here right now. Let's get it done. The best time to do it is now. You, having gotten to this point in the podcast, you should know more than you did about, 20, 30 minutes ago. So hopefully what you're going to do is you're going to decide to take action. That's my first tip is to do something,
Yes.
anything. If you aren't local, go and search. There's like a bar association. You can search your local bar association. Like you can email me, and depending on where you are, I might be able to get you a recommendation from my network. But do something. So take the step to move forward. Don't just listen to what we're saying and then not do anything. So that's number one, is to take action.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is you can do some things right now today before you even have an attorney. So
Mm.
number one, if you've got life insurance, if you've got retirement, if you have bank accounts, you can name beneficiaries on those accounts so that if you were to pass, those accounts can go to the individuals that you name as beneficiaries. That's something that you can do without an attorney. One of the things, like people don't realize, you'll be, contributing and maxing out your contribution to your 401k, but you haven't named beneficiaries of your
Mm.
401k policy, right? So you can name beneficiaries to the financial accounts that you own right now so that those who you want to benefit from it can benefit from it when you pass and whenever that is. The caveat is there are rules related to naming minors as beneficiaries. So you should reach out to a local estate planning attorney in your area who can give you details about what those rules are and how they will apply to you. Okay. Take action. Do some things right now, even before you have an attorney. And number three is budget.
Yes.
Budget for it. I cannot overemphasize how important it is to use a live human being to
Mm-hmm.
do your estate plan, especially if you are a parent. And so, assuming that you are a parent listening to this, you don't want to create documents that you found online without making sure that they are legally sound, that they apply specifically to your situation, and that there are not additional things you need to consider because of the fact that you are a parent, because different jurisdictions have different rules about what happens when a minor is a beneficiary. And so you want to make sure that if you are a parent, that you are especially, I mean, anybody, but especially as a parent, that you take the time to work with a professional. I just can't emphasize it enough. There are some people who, because of their situation, some are parents of kids who are exceptional. That's what I call kids with special needs. Some exceptional kids. So you want to make sure that you're planning carefully for them. If you've got much younger kids like you and I versus older kids who are like in high school, there's things you want to consider differently. So even paying for half hour of an attorney's time And if they tell you, okay, you really only need like some standard type of documentation that you can get somewhere else, okay. But just be confident that the choice that you're making is right for you and your family. So those are the 3 tips I have.
Love it. Thank you, Shakisha. This was awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited for mamas to hear this and to realize that, yes, estate planning is absolutely for them and their families, and them feeling more confident to actually move forward and make some decisions for the better of their family. I hear my child crying and it's a distraction, but this is really good.
I just heard.
She out there with her dad. I don't know what's going on, but before we go, please let us know, how can someone connect with you if they want to learn more? Where can people find you? All that stuff.
Okay, best way to connect with me. So we could start with social media. So I am on Instagram. That's the one that I'm most active on. It's my full name, so I can't even hide from the government. Shakisha Morgan, ShaKishamorgan on Instagram. Sometimes I post tips, but I also follow a lot of other Black women who are estate planning attorneys around the country, and they also post tips. And I'm always posting. I am a reposting somebody. I'm like, oh, okay. You said what about estate planning? Let me go ahead and put that on my profile today. And so you can also be connected with other amazing Black women who are estate planners and sharing information. So hit me up on Instagram at Shakisha Morgan. If you want to email me because you are interested in figuring out how to move forward with an estate plan, even if it's not with me, right? Even if I need someone in Texas, I need someone in California, Shakisha Esquire, all spelled out, ShaKishaEsquire @gmail.com. And then I can either, connect you with another estate planning attorney, or, if you would like to use my services, happy to connect you with my firm and that kind of stuff. So those are the 2 best ways to get in contact with me. And I just have to say, I'm so glad that you're talking about this, because it is, to me, the most important thing missing from people's financial plan.
Yes.
And so life plan, even, people love to use the buzzword legacy, and I am a fan of it. But if you're not actualizing it, both in the financial and legal sense, then you're just talking.
Yep, absolutely. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Shakisha. This was amazing. I know that it's going to be so helpful for so many of the mamas, and we really appreciate you. So thank you.
Good. Thank you for having me.
Hey mama, I want to quickly tell you about the Empower Wellness Program. This is a dynamic 6-week group for working mothers who are tired of feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, burdened by mom guilt, but then also just not having enough time for themselves. This program takes all of that and transforms it into more wellness, more time for yourself, better priorities, community with other mothers, but then overall balance in your work, motherhood, and wellness. To learn more about the Empower Wellness Program, head over to balanceworkingmama.com. There you can find when the next program begins, what to expect, but then also how to sign up. Hope to see you in the next group. Hey mama, thank you for listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.